yet you'll need to navigate your way. I'll say such things as Johnny Cash's voice is God's, or Walt Whitman's words trace half the human soul, while Dickinson's survey the other. Oils Picasso painted show that genius can be nearly infinite, though those Van Gogh produced reveal there's darkness underneath it all as well. And on. I could continue, but I best save something, yes? For when we meet and you are safe within my arms against my chest, as then we will have some time to get acquainted. And for me to watch you grow, to change some diapers, and to tell you all my silly aphorisms and how much you mean to me, Olivia.
All right. So, Richard Sanderell.
Oh my God.
Who should have his device up here? And then Daniel Beeps is next. So I'm going to magnify this thing.
I've always heard you're supposed to ask the price. What, me, really?
What you said?
Really?
What you said? What you said?
Already?
What?
Well,
Richard Sanderell, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
wasn't going to read this piece, but the hay came up. And,
The hay came up?
The hay came up, you know, 50 years of hate. You know, we're coming up on that real soon, 50 years of hate.
Oh, 50.
Breathe. Have a lot of problem. Okay. Are we back? Okay.
No, that was my front.
50 years of hate. It's almost 50 years since you know what happened. All that pent-up energy, anticipation of summer, all in color, wildness thrashing itself, trying to find its rhythm. Everything is up for grabs. We found truth were the lies, and would not digest the lies for regurgitation. Taking over the sidewalk streets, leftists and hippies together in one brief moment. Leftists more for the drugs. Although Diamond Dave says that's not true. We dance to what we weren't sure. A new nation? What? Sex? Yes. Love? Sex? Yes. Drugs? Yes, but not always. A better world? Yes. A better than what we were shown from the USA's underbelly of war, death, racism. A conversation stillborn before solidarity could be given a name. Other names like hard drugs and FBIs were intermingled. A story that happens before and after to this day. Someone told someone who told someone who told someone that this is the way it's supposed to be and the way things are. You don't like it, find your own cult. Jews for Jesus and other Christian clones to save the heathens appear from the heartlands. Peace gives way to the ruination of USA, it is said. With every war, there are always the enemies of the empire's plans. You people must be watched. Military people from the war came, most hiding from where they came from, to fit into this new world. It is where the best apple pie you could ever find in USA, and it was at a Chinese restaurant on the hate. How glorious. Dance the bullshit away you all thought you knew. Away, dance it all away. Not everyone gets it right or all right. If so, a cult can't be too far behind. Dance, yes, dance, dance and dance. Float the war away, leaving the killing behind, never to have to pay the price for death and mayhem. Dance, dance the war away, if only, besides, the dancing stopped. This was at one moment in time. Much could have been done, and some did, but it happened in shards, worked despite its damage. The pieces are still not back together. Imagine solidarity. I wonder if you can. Here's a nice little point. Maybe not. Desert, sand, and snow. Desert snow meets sand, blanket for sand to hide. shines the desert in a cloak of diamonds from stars. Earth's mind revealed. The rubbing sound of sand gives another tone to her musical quiver. This is where Earth contemplates and dreams. Life emerges from dooms of the submerged to refresh themselves. Survival for another day of circling and spinning, we travelers of the hoop.
One more. You should mention I have your video up now. Yeah, I just put his TV show up and showing this Thursday at 7:30. Probably each week this month, Thursday 7:30. Alpine Mountain.
Thank you. We'll do the short one. The great poet and the heart and the heat of snakes. This is an older one. The great poet Owen Dunkel has a line in the heat of snakes in one of his poems. What does lie at the heat and the heart of snakes? Certainly none of the stereotypes that apply to the snake. At the heart of it, it's more about ourselves and what we perceive the snake to be. I would think the snake is at the same as most living things, food, shelter, and of course the joy and the terror of being caught up in the heat of snakes. It's all about love and genitals in unison, all that slithering together. The heat of snakes is about who comes out on top, who gets laid and who does not. It is at the heat of snakes that is at the heart of snakes. The snake slithers and that makes you edgy. Is that stalking? Is it stalking you? What is at the heart of snakes? He speaks to you in forked tongue and that makes you nervous because you understand forked tongue. Is he going to make you eat that apple? And you wonder, what is at the heart of snakes? Is it the eyes, those peculiar eyes of snakes and cats, along with owls, that makes you uncomfortable? All that religious dogma and fairy tales about how the snake along with the cat and owl are instruments of the underworld. Evil. Say hello to the crawling king snake, the snake that surprises you when you least suspect it. He arises before you know it, and when he does, you will obey. He is the king snake who gathers his robe and sits on the throne. He wears his diamonds, colors, and patterns only a king can wear. He sings the blues as a crawling king snake, and everyone begins to swoon as snakes do. This is what makes you skittish. You still don't know what's at the heart of snakes. The reality is you will probably never understand what is at the heart of snakes, but I believe that they really do have a good philosophy. You groove your way, and they'll groove theirs.
Thank you. And if Clyde can be here because he's next.
He's Clyde.
All right, you're going to be next after me. That's all I'll let you know.
Don't do this at home. I'm a professional.
Professional what?
I'll get back to you. My people will get to your people, and your people will get to my people. All right. I usually don't like being responsible for what I read because that way, you know, the karma train gets derailed. So someone give me a number between 1 and 6.
16.
5. I heard 5. Wow. God, I'm glad I'm missing that one. Okay. So I'm going to start with a few haiku just for your elucidation. On the path, stepping over one ant only to come down on another. I tried, but you know.
Bob's your uncle.
Yes. Summer rain sprinkles across the pond, dissolves trees, clouds, all the heavens. And I was a school teacher for a long time. This is a true one here. May. Oh, I have to. These are second graders. Unless you go, that's not high school kids. Second graders. May. Kids off the hook into grassy meadows making dandelion wishes. It was so cute. And these are for you think that for mystical purposes. In the cleft of clover, single dewdrop gleams. All the sun's circle inside. Okay. In the cleft of clover, single dewdrop gleams. All the sun's circle inside. And that was from my garden a long time ago.
Nice.
Thank you. Oh, this is I actually saw this. Actually, I saw all of these. I shouldn't even say that. Anyway. Swift. Over the pond, the rippled shadow, dragonfly, low enough for the frog. A or B?
E.
I didn't decide which one was which. There was a sound. So this is a poem for poets, and it's called What Words Can Do. So if you're a poet, and I know there's a bunch of you out here, you wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be listening to me. So anyway, what words can do. Why have I chosen the solitude of what I call the invisible life? The miracles of which pass unseen, the evidence of which is strife. Of course, nature has sympathy with my cause and its effect, for the world is ever loving and sublime, or so I hope to expect. Now, to the ordinary or common eye's view, life's road is easy to envision. One manages the simple wants and plots a course of temporal acquisition. But mystic eyes see beyond that veil, and so I'm free, not held in its thrall. For in this life, I do wax ecstatic whenever my soul is touched by glory withal. Such events are likened to the sun for all their showering warmth of love, and I am wrapped in a fold of considerations I can't truly speak well of. Be curious then, and comb words such as these, and you might seek that place where a love by which your soul may take wing has joy presume thy face. It surpasses all understanding and the varied delights of this redolent world by far. It is found in the pursuit of the Spirit's inspirational mind. It's as bright as any star. It shines fast in the depths of peace, sounds the soul, and holds all life dear, is enamored of all things human, and provides us insight, both perfect and clear. Thank you. My mother thanks you, my brother's cousins, best friends, uncles, second cousins, other neighbor thanks you. And now we have the Clyde Always Show. I'm going to lower this boom for him. There you go. He's ready. I'm ready. Take it away, Clyde.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, come on, step right up, folks. Come on, grab yourself a front row seat before they're going fast. You don't want to miss this. It's time for another exciting installment of the Clyde Always Show. With me, your always clever, always handsome, always charming host, Clyde Always, and I am the Bard of the Lower Haight, and this is the tale of the man who made pink. Once upon a time, on the island of Manhattan, there lived a man named Thaddeus Thickskull III. And Thaddeus Thickskull III had been born to a grand fortune. And it was his father's fortune, his father's fortune before him, and so on, etc. The point being that all of his life, Thaddeus had had any manner of rich stuff that people like you or I could have only just possibly imagined, like caviar, champagne, yachts, lavish parties, trips around the world, skydiving lessons, etc., etc. You name it, he'd done everything money could buy, but money could not buy Thaddeus Thickskull III happiness. And so it was one autumn morning, Thaddeus was wandering the streets of the city, feeling sorry for himself. Now, it so happens that on this particular autumn morning, Thaddeus happened upon a shop that he'd never noticed before. And in the window of the shop was a sign, and the sign said, "Make pink." And he said to himself, "I've done everything in the world there is to do, but I don't remember ever making pink before." So he walks in the shop, strolls to the shopkeep, says, "Sign me up, I want to make pink." Shopkeep says, "All right, Dad, you want to make pink? The first thing you're going to need, it's a big plot of land way out in the countryside." So Thaddeus walks out and says, "No problem, come right up." And that afternoon, he's in Brooklyn at his land broker's office, and they settle on this nice big 1,000-acre plot about an hour and a half outside of Scranton, Pennsylvania. And the next day, deed in hand, Thaddeus returns to the shop, he throws the deed down on the counter, he says, "Big plot of land way out in the countryside, no problem, now what?" So shopkeep says, "All right, now Tad, now you gotta build a lake on that plot of land, bud. And it can't be just any old lake. Oh no, this lake gotta be perfectly circular in shape and exactly a half a mile in diameter." So Thaddeus walks out, he says, "No problem, come right up." And that afternoon, he's on the phone, he's making the arrangements, and this time he needs geologists, land surveyors. There's crews of men out there with hard hats, steam shovels. They're working around the clock to build this lake on this plot of land, and finally, months later, millions of dollars later, Thaddeus returns to the shop. He says, "All right, I got the lake perfectly circular in shape, a half a mile diameter on the big plot of land way out in the countryside. Now what?" The shopkeep says, "All right, Tad, now you gotta float a boat on that lake, bud. And it can't be just any old boat. Oh no, this boat gotta have a solid silver deck." So Thaddeus walks out, he says, "No problem, come right up." And that afternoon, Thaddeus, he's on the phone, he's making the arrangements, and this time he needs boat builders, carpenters, mechanics, silversmiths, for crying out loud. They're out there working around the clock to build this boat on this lake, on this plot of land, and finally, months later, millions and millions of dollars later, Thaddeus returns to the shop. Crazy look in his eye. He says, "I got the boat with a solid silver deck sitting pretty on the lake that's perfectly circular in shape, a half a mile diameter on the big plot of land way on the countryside. Now what?" Shopkeep says, "All right, Tad, just cool your jets, because now it's real simple, bud. Now all you need's a pistol and some bullets." So Thaddeus walks a couple of blocks down to the pawn shop and gets himself a nice antique revolver and a box of bullets to go with it, and returns to the shop and he says, "Are we ready to make pink?" And shopkeep says, "Yeah, we're ready, let's go." So they get into Thaddeus' deluxe stretch limousine, and the driver drives them out of the city, through New Jersey, into Pennsylvania, past Scranton, about an hour and a half, and they arrive at the plot of land, and they get onto the boat, and they power it out into the middle of the lake, and shopkeep tests the wind. Not a breath. And he loads into the chamber of the pistol a single bullet, and he hands it to Thaddeus, and he says, "All right, Tad, here's what I want you to do, but just stand there stock still, close your eyes, raise that gun straight up in the air, pull back on the hammer, and wait for my signal." And slowly, slowly, Thaddeus does. Click. Shopkeep bides his time for just the right moment to make pink, and when that moment occurs, he shouts, "Fire!" And Thaddeus squeezes the trigger, bang, and the bullet flies up and up and up until it can go up no further, and it begins to fall back down, folks, down and down and straight back down, and it hits a solid silver deck right at Thaddeus' feet and makes a resounding pink. Tune in next time for another episode of the Clyde Always Show. Good night.
Yelling out, "Where are you?" every Friday night. Come on.
Cafe International.
Tell him.
7:30 sign up, no covers.
There he is. He's the host. What's the host?
Yeah, Hayden Fillmore for that.
Pardon me.
All right. Now we have Owen Dunkel coming up, and then we have Mary Jean, and then our feature. I made a slight slip on. I forgot to put Owen in.
Is Arthur Treacher going to be after the feature?
What?
What?
Yeah,
Who?
yeah, there'll be a creature
Throw
after
that
the
man
feature.
out.
All right, sorry. Okay. All right.
Called, can everybody hear me? This is called Spring. Spring trajectory, cake sales, sorrowful clouds clock the way, the miracle made swimming, born to be alive, cancer sticks. These creatures seem so fine and full. The wrong ways foretell the future. Beg now, pay later. Elock the glace to God, and the seashells cling to their motley wives. River downer cactus can say my last syllables. Beg the air for more. The trajectory the wind tells you. Feel them, the end is near 2 more times. Death of the maiden, last till dawn. Palms. Only the chatting midnight rain beats down from its sultry showers. He rates a unicorn upon its sultry towers. Times of its nocturne time and again, wetting its lips upon my eaves of pain. Its cold branches tell the hours. Laughter and lust become ill, sours the bleak covenant we call the sea. Gods and princes all begat a nimby-voiced, goat-bearded boy. Odysseus set sail, we never sat along our passions and penance. Destroy the harp of plenty, we plucked to the day standing, bid the sun adieu. Starbucks. Sally's salad days, my origins have the species, ladders, cough, or crows, carry on constable, constipation, scarce head, carouse, killer courses can be happy all day, the truth talks back, candy for dandies, 2 arrows lost their virginity, cash for the capstan, bars the way, the wheel wanders to the woodshed, heaven is a harangue, folks for the forecastle. Home at Starbucks. Manly violin, mostly Taurus. Seasons are celestial, days is delight. Point to the stars, sadists are sad to the sad sack. Do unto others, cannibals glow, the pallor rope leads the way. Glorious downtrodden, space fills the stars. Glorious troubadours. The Yankees are on the Yangtze, 2 rivers for Aquarius. Can't cancel that good feeling, inch for every inch. Simon is silent, patrons are polite. Death is dishonorable, USMC, pay for pain. Poem at Starbucks. Bellow wood. Below wood we are fast and furious, punchy, punky in particular. PCN forgetting about fornicating, getting on spending. We waylays, doggerel, jogging, can say my name in public, sesame and sixpence, 60 all. Poem. Horses at dawn, the harness of Homer, 2 faces get on with cases, 1 a stranger, 2 with purpose. The joy be good, stereo Steve, 2 cynics. At dawn, altercation away with you, shredding my being is nothing. To frolic the learning of me, I stop myself frantic first, I drool over Yule. The logic burns inside me, sleep blesses me. There are necessary doodads at auction. Gary Owen died for our sins. America freaks. Home at Starbucks. Melody d'amour. The day chalks back, it is near the end, summer is frantic. I'm somewhat pedantic, there is antic. Hey, the lofty spires of imagination. It is a sultry day, so fresh, Sally, so near, dear hearts are everywhere. Life is an English madrigal, love has wandered off. This Columbus day was made for sleep. My dear darling, echoes of my flying pen. Metaphors are everywhere, Christ is a stallion, pedantic is frantic, America is freaky.
There you go. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Oh, Jungle. Thank you so much. And now we have the honor of presenting Mary Jean Robertson. Who is honorable and well regarded. And the next up is the feature, and I'm really proud about all that. I can't tell you how happy I am. This is one of the best readings and times I've ever had here, and you're a part of it all. We thank you too.
Okay, Kim is the feature, and she told me to be here tonight, so I'm here.
Yeah.
she's Cherokee and I'm Cherokee. Both of us are urban Indians. In other words, we weren't, well, I wasn't, I'm not going to talk for her, I wasn't raised in the Oklahoma Territory of the Cherokee Nation because my dad didn't like it there. So when he graduated from school, went to war and came back, he went to work for GE in Schenectady, New York, and my mother joined him there later, and so I was born in Schenectady, and I have to spell that my whole life. And I only lived there for 2 weeks.
That's one of those words that can't be spelled.
Chenectady.
It's Italian, right?
Yes, whatever. So, my dad used to take us places when I was growing up. Everywhere we would go to the Grand Canyon or the Painted Desert or the Petrified Forest or the White Sands or all kinds of different places. Because he really wanted us to know this land and this country because it was my country. And one of the times we went as kids, we went to see a play in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, which is Cherokee Nation capital. And they have like a village there, and they have a play every summer. It talks about the Trail of Tears, about some history that maybe some people don't know about, but every Cherokee in the whole wide world knows about the Trail of Tears. And in that play, they had a program, and in the program they had a story, and it was a story about a cannibal called Nunyanui, and I dreamed about that little story for years and years and years because there was something about it that needed some more explanation as far as I was concerned. And then my brother moved to Truckee. Now, I don't know whether any of you guys know about Truckee, but that's the place where the Donner Party was. And Nunyanui is a cannibal. So it sort of made apropos that I would even more think about Nunyanui. So he was also called Stonecoat, or man made of stone. And the Donner Party, instead of going to the local people who were showing Americans how to get over the Sierra Passes very easily, Chief Truckee would lead people through there. Well, the Donner Party destroyed all the food of those people, and then the snows fell, and so they got trapped there without food, and the Paiute people who were in that area didn't want to help them because they destroyed their food, and it just went on, and it just got worse and worse and worse, and they ate each other. So everybody said that's terrible. They were so fearful of Indian people, and they came with such arrogance and greed that they ended up eating each other. So this is a story about Nunyanui. A young warrior was out hunting for food to feed his family, his clan, and he came across Stonecoat. And Stonecoat is like the predator mine, the high-grading miner, the narco trafficker, he had a walking stick, and every time he would point it at a particular direction, he'd sniff it, and then he'd start going in the direction where he smelled something. And he smelled communists, and he smelled terrorists, and he smelled weapons of mass destruction. So Nunyanui, that hardened heart, Stonecoat man, followed in the direction of all those terrible people. And so the young man saw him, and he raced back to his clan and his people, and he said, you know, what are we going to do? And he said, you have to place 7 women who are on their moons on his path. Because when you have a powerful woman on their moon, they will collapse and tear down the power of that cannibal. So that's what they did. They took a woman who was on their moon and placed it on the path of Nununui. Now, do I get 5 minutes?
You can take the extra offline.
Or
Okay.
take some
I didn't know what you,
extra?
I didn't know if you
Yeah,
had an
yeah.
arrangement. Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
okay. So, the women are chosen from each clan, and they're placed on the path. And as Nununui comes in front of them, he runs into them and he says, what are you doing on this path? This is a terrible thing that you're doing to me. You're not supposed to be here. And the young woman says, I stand upon Mother Earth and I release my child before conception, to mix with the blood of my flesh that flows to meet the generative powers of the earth, the powers of cleansing and purification. I stand to bring forth the natural powers of the wind, the sandstorm, the power of the tornado, of the hurricane. And Nununui moans and walks forward. Then he comes across the second young woman. And she says, I stand upon Mother Earth, and I release my child before conception, to mix with the blood of my flesh that flows to meet the generative powers of the earth, the powers of cleansing and purification. I stand to bring forth the natural powers of the fire of the grasses, the fire of the forest, the lightning fire, the firestorm, the volcano, and Stonecoat staggers and continues towards the village. The third young woman, Nununui, says, why are you on this path? And she says, I stand upon Mother Earth and I release my child before conception, to mix with the blood of my flesh that flows to meet the generative powers of the earth, the powers of cleansing and purification. I stand to bring forth the natural powers of the earth, the mudslides, the avalanches, the earthquakes. And Stonecoat stumbles and almost falls. And then the fourth woman upon the path, she stands upon Mother Earth and she says, I release my child before conception, to mix with the blood of my flesh that flows to meet the generative powers of the earth, the powers of cleansing and purification. I stand to bring forth the natural powers of water, the floods, the tsunami. And the fifth young woman says, I stand upon Mother Earth. I release my child before conception, to mix with the blood of my flesh that flows to meet the generative powers of the earth, the powers of cleansing and purification. I stand to bring forth the inner planet. I watch the plankton move north, the eels die off, the seabirds fly further away, the oceans warm and become more acidic. I stand where the methane gases inside the planet are released, and the species of the planet will be destroyed. I bring forth the heart of the earth. And Nununui lost his strength, and he crawls for a while before staggering to his feet again. And then the sixth young woman says, I stand upon Mother Earth. I release my child before conception, to mix with the blood of my flesh that flows to meet the generative powers of the earth, the powers of cleansing and purification. I stand to bring forth the all-pervading life in space, the comets, the asteroids, the moons falling to the earth. Nununui is now so weak that he can no longer stand, but crawls to the last, youngest young woman. And she says, I stand upon Mother Earth. I release my child before conception, to mix with the blood of my flesh that flows to meet the generative powers of the earth, the powers of cleansing and purification. I stand to bring the borderlands, the knife edge, the twilight, the dawn. I am the child woman. My child before conception is the first child before conception, with all the possibilities inherent in the first being. I am the woman child between cultures, between countries, between life and death, between love and hate, the balance point where everything and nothing is possible. And Nunyanui falls with all his strength gone. The people gather together and embrace and thank the women who face Stonecoat. The men gathered cedar, oak, willow, and elm to build a sacred fire of 4 woods over the body. And as the heat burns through the Stonecoat, the heart of the magic being melts, and he remembers his original instructions. He remembers to give the people the gifts that the Creator asked him to bring to them. And the magic is released at dawn, the songs, the prayers, the magic formulas, and the stone rolls back to Edinburgh, where the land law is returned to the lords of the land. The skull of Geronimo rose out to be cherished and reburied with his ancestors. And the grasses roll back over the prairie, and the buffalo and deer return. Wanayan maniye, wanayan maniye, aniyun wiya maniye, aniyun wiya maniye, ataheyelo, ataheyelo. Ghost dance tonight here at Sacred Grounds.
Nicely done.
Thank you. I tell you, everything comes here at some point. I'm amazed. I am truly pleased and amazed. I'm going to be very brief about this. This is a very good poet. But I'll add that when I've heard her before, I've read things, there's a heart to everything she does. The heart is central. I mean, you'll hear that, and you'll understand that, and you'll say, she'll clarify all that. There's a center, and a place, and a meaning, and it all comes through the heart, and she knows how to speak for that, and she's about to. So give her a huge round of applause.
Wow, is that where it's supposed to be? I'm so used to retrieving them.
Oh, okay.
No, leave.
Your comfort is my comfort. My mom used to say that, and she meant it.
Okay. I was going to start with a piece by Janetta Calhoun-Fish, another Cherokee woman. You didn't realize you were going to be invaded, did you? We're in Ohlone territory here. I was born over there. My mother was born over there. One of those hospitals is still existing. This is called Sweet Home, Oklahoma. 1. Canadian River Bottom. A ribbon of early morning light rests softly on a backbone ridge in the distance. My shoes are stained with red clay. The rain crow calls, and if I listen closely, I can hear inside his lonely voice a dim memory. I ask him to show me the way home. 2. Wowoka. I remember being startled by seeing my face reflected in the dime store window, superimposed on packages of bed linen marked down for a white sale. 3. At the stomp dance grounds for Cynthia Johnson. We sit in the arbor on a cool, misty evening. A red flower dances in a shimmering water glass. The sun's glare has softened, its rays round themselves on the horizon, reaching across the sky to illuminate the shiniest thread of a spider's web, suspended in time above the table. It's interesting to hear that my work all comes through the heart. I was told by an Irishman in a bar in Ireland who was admittedly trying to pick me up that all of my poems are love poems. I'm not really sure how strongly to weight that particular smoke and bean soup. The trust of new things, of Baroque and mechanical seed pods, even now with these days oranging, the fumble of uncommitted rain and handmade brooms and the hunt for holdout crumbs. The sun is coming out in the afternoon at seductive angles, and one hillside here is still rising with that anise smell. These varied New Year's, these essential ceremonies, gift blankets tugged close, amuletic fortifications of soup-warmed spoons and cheeks on flannel shirts, of applesauce, this season ransomed with spices, this copal smoke that carries my very real belief, that can curl exactly around and bear these words, that can hiss softly the songs of transformation. This is called Exile's Heart. I was the first family member to go back to North Carolina after we were removed, and everyone in the family was so anxious about it. It says something really powerful about what family stories do. People were terrified that something bad was going to happen to me because I was going back to North Carolina. And I thought it was kind of funny. You know, it's not illegal anymore. How many generations will the exile's heart be passed gene to gene? The story of berries by the river and the near words muttered by a wind through the rocks on a hill, even when the hand that remembered a rock that fit a child's palm in just this way, a rock she wished on, or this climbing tree and those new holidays. These new ways don't hold water when the wind is from the north and that precise rain starts falling. So one of my great aunts was called Spook, which is a lot to live up to, really. I'm cracking her.
I'm just wondering why, is there a family story to that?
Okay, so there are different kinds of doctors in Cherokee, and people call them all different kinds of things now here in this place. But we always call them doctors, it's one word. For all of them, and they're in charge of different things. And she was the last one in charge of the thing that she was in charge of. How was that? I just said nothing and a whole lot of
That just proves you're an academic.
I have been, not these days. And developing this bizarre reputation, though, for making it rain, which, if I'm doing it, I don't know I'm doing it.
We'll keep at it.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
I did it in Minneapolis. It's not cool enough, I thought it was. I did it in Minneapolis a couple of weeks ago when I was there, and I made it thunder as well, apparently. At least that's the way they're all telling the story. By reading this. So let's try.
Oh, yeah.
Longer incantations for August. The eldest frog calls the rain with a rhythm she's taught to the mountains for centuries. With intent in her rinsed blackberry eye, she throws everything against this raging summer and sings. Soft midnight fogs and harder warm rains at dawn where the arch fell, and scattered rubble into that exact stream. The one that now is just a whisper, but sometimes speaks with sounds that we make too, with the sounds that might heal us, and she wants to hear them now, so she sings alongside the Giant's Rock, where you can barely see some of the stories, But there they are, known to us or not, just there, tapped into the stone, the seven-fingered hand holding them down, holding them gently before the rain that we know will come. Flint-edged summer aside, this is something we know. So I raised 3 kids in this city, and that experience has caused me to call the period of time between Lost Italian Day and Gluttony Day the silly season, because if you have any notoriety or ability to speak in front of people or know anything or have read a book about anything and you're native, they will pay you money to come talk to them during November. What you don't know is that this is a really unique situation, because I knew this wasn't what you had in mind. I have come and I'm speaking to you tonight, but the fact is I rarely perform during November out of protest of Native American History Month.
Well, thank you.
Because I'm Native all year long.
Yeah.
And,
Really?
Yeah.
Darn.
It's shocking, except Easter, because the other side of the family is Polish, and that's a huge holiday in Poland. This poem was written for October 12th. It's October 12th somewhere. Some people die and some people become a day, a street, a church festival. Some people become a day, a definition, a punishment, a curse that can define half of a planet, become a measure of time, a measure of gold extracted from melted gods or skimmed from the surface of vivisected cultures and painted onto cathedrals, binding wrists and fingers. Some people become a measure of terrible, and some worship at their shrines on their feast days for the contact high, the proximity to a greed so wild and overwhelming that other people are wealth. Some people die, and other people die, and some cultures are peeled to find the magic, the chairs for speaking to the dead, the singing note that ripples the sacred lake, the secret of eternal life, the gold of transformation. Some people become a prayer to theft, become the god of theft, become a mark of time, a change that cannot be unwoven. For some people, it's always October 12th somewhere. It was the time I wrote a lot of rants. I don't do it very often these days. But when I do...
Bring him here.
Yes. I figured I knew an audience that might not disapprove of a rant.
What's October 12th?
Columbus Day.
Columbus
Indigenous
Day.
Peoples Day.
Indigenous
Columbus
Peoples
the
Day.
first.
It's still
Witches'
Columbus
Day.
Day. You
Wow.
know, we changed the name and it's
Still.
still
I
the
want to
same thing.
change Columbus Avenue
Well,
to
man, I mean, I know the
Business
day.
Well,
That'd be the day.
Sort of like a Witches' Day thing?
Yeah, it's a witch's day.
It's the Witches' Day now.
Oh.
This river,
So-called name day.
this river runs west. And counter to every story I drank deep in those small doll days, strange, heavy with collective unconscious, with all of those west-running improbable relations, spending lavish hands worth of emotion on this imagined west, in this city which also runs west, into an ocean that I own no stories for, a borrowed ocean full of marvels fed by these long men who collect different water, who polish stones that won't tell me the future in any language I know. I actually have no idea how much time I have, but I'm just going to let you
I will
pull
give
me
you,
off
I will
with
give you
your
a
hook
hint or something.
when it's appropriate.
Yeah.
So I donated a copy of this book. This book, that's not my book.
Oh, no.
This is my book. That's
but-
by Genetic Helmut Misch. I
But
read
you're not donating.
No,
Okay. But you read from it.
I read from it.
Okay.
This was a very difficult book to get for quite some time, in part because the publisher never sent them out when they were requested. But there are some now, so they're available. And it was my first book, so it suffers from all of the illnesses of a first book. and one that isn't necessarily the case, which is this one also doesn't have a table of contents. This is called Home Songs. Always consider the possibility that you take yourself too seriously. That dry cleaners is built on the most sacred spot in 4 counties. It wasn't intended as an act of irreverence. They didn't ask, and we were too embarrassed for them to say. Yeah, sometimes I get angry, most often when I can't find any dirty laundry so I can go pray. Just because you don't know the stories doesn't mean there aren't any. It's been 10 years since I was home, but Jake doesn't even look up from his paper as I enter his store. Your grand's out of flour. You want tea, you have to buy it. Milk's probably sour. I love you too, old man. Humor and food are the trickiest of cultural artifacts, but overlaps do occur. My Polish and Chalagi relatives sat down one evening and enjoyed potato pancakes together, and then there was the afternoon of near delirium, 28 elderly Indians listening to Seuss in translation. You can actually make Seuss words in Cherokee. Kind of exciting. If there were more than one person in the room who spoke it, I might do that. Makes no sense. This is from my latest book, publisher of which is back there, Bill Vartnoff. Thank you again, Bill.
I knew it was you.
I don't think you signed up.
I know, but we'll snag it.
You should. I've busted you, sir. Flanua. It's 5:45 and I wanted to write to you about the red bird, but I realized you don't know my stories. I knew we were years from sharing the one I needed for you to hear. We're misplaced, both of us. Keys in the left pocket of borrowed jacket. Misplaced. But with time we can find our way around to it. It's slow work. We do this word by word, each word a story, every story beaded with words. But there's no hurry. It's only 5:45. So I committed an odd act and fell madly in love with, and found the love of my life, and it turned out to be a 6-foot white boy. Who knew? Obviously, looking at me, you know it's not the first time this has happened in my family. But there he sits. So there are a lot of love poems these days. But here's another rant, so I'll share that. It's called Clouds Running In. Sullen and slow, these battles along the arteries in the veins are calculated drop by drop. It's how that rule always worked. They hope they can slice it finer than their science can calculate because they don't really want to know the answers. Soon they'll drop yet another bomb on Nova Segovia. Starve more impounded horses to death. Our sacred food isn't the same. We are made of different stuff, but for you, I will sing those Shelu songs that I can remember. It could be too much fire underground or too much water, but either way, we need an ear to it. Deliberate ignorance is complicity. I believe in forgiveness only in the moment before the next attack, and sometimes even then there isn't time. People drown in the desert. It's not a metaphor for social change, it's a matter of water, doing water things. Try not to walk in the dry wash. It doesn't stay dry. It's not raining yet, but can you hear the clouds running in?
Kick us out of here.
I always catch the old world diseases. I'm post-Columbian. Inherit the crackle and residue of mud-handed invaders and measles, which I never develop a resistance to. Oh yes, I've had those shots, but I still catch it every time it enters me. It could have been my blonde grandfather's fault, salt miner that he was. He held the Union Post during the general strike. It could be a scrap of his code that opens those doors, a conflation of always and never. I was his princess with my glow-in-the-dark baby skin, my soggy hands, even then blue-collar square, snapping the clip earrings onto his white furred ears. Boorish, a student said of me, complained of stories from my unlikely life, but I am unlikely, post-Columbian Indian, hillbilly Polish, Union agitator and career military DNA, an inheritance from my grandfathers. Born to take the bullet, take the germ, the weight on my working class shoulders, on my native feet.
Well, I don't usually say I told you so. I'll say I told you so. We're going to take an 8-minute break or something like that. We have 10 poets or 11 coming up after the break, and I've got to snag Bill over there. He thinks he's going to get away with not doing anything. So we'll be back in a few moments. For the people who are out there, I'm letting you know we're taking a break. We'll be back. Thank you very much.
Enjoy it. Smoke it. I got signed up.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Just want to make sure.
Bill, you did find a kid.
So I put you on.
The guy who made cake.
That's right. You were looking at. Oh, no. I got it. Thank you.
Where's the bar? Yeah, I love to claim it, but great audience.
Someone told me you started with because I went after the first one. It was all. Because yeah, that means like I didn't on this website. Right under. All right. I'd say we get to right under yeah, we have. This is a bill. You have to walk. You have to say. Periodic. But I'm working on it. Yeah, but I'm working on it. Yeah. People actually get at the beginning. And then one of the few times I didn't make it. I was thinking, I had to go over there twice and turn it on. And everything was fine. And whoever was like, the person before me and the person before that, there's a building. Well, no, I'm just saying, I'm thinking, I would work all the time. I just get an audience. They tune in. They still don't think it's like this natural things because because they changed the whole camera was everything was done except for the company from which we have. That's all we are is pleased to see the best I've been saying,
At least they didn't have a stranglehold there. You know, Willie the Snake. Yeah.
It's nice for the place if business comes in.
I saw several dinners and sandwiches.
Listen, I don't really go out.
You were good.
You should come back. The candidate's always like,
Hey, she's doing this when I know her come, she goes like this. What, does that mean something?
How was it? I haven't listened to it yet.
Because I used to have a sister named Mary.
The audio was good. We didn't have good attendance, and the people in it got mad at me and demanded that I give them money to waste the time in there. But that's our testing astronomer who gave a report on the planet Pluto.
Oh, yeah.
He usually makes trouble. Everybody else had it.
Okay, you live at 6th Street?
But you know, I used to be
31 bus takes you over there.
And I
Market and the 31 bus takes you within one block.
That's pretty good.
she's on Mutiny Radio, which used to be Pirate Radio.
Yeah, I know.
Why did they make the name change?
Well, there was.
There already was a mutiny. Oh, there was a mutiny.
There was an obnoxious fellow who was running unbearable in front of the Fed to money or something like that. And he was unpleasant. He abused
No, I mean, I came here first. That way I went there. So I was like, hey, you know what?
I'm glad to hear the audio.
I'm here for you. I'm here.
That's very relief to me.
Tell the audience a little
I'm sorry to hear that.
I was taking a class in my church over here, CSL.
Oh, yes.
And it was on Wednesdays, and they made me Thursday. So you signed in with yeah. You're starting to come.
Staring at the the funny thing is they're looking down the road at a Burger King. Why didn't they just go down
I'm just not sure.
Well, this happened, actually, no. Whatever they call the plane.
Is the Cherokee language its own alphabet? Right. Everybody around literally wants to generate
You're on when it comes to talking about
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Saying hello to the wonderful audience out there, the audience of none. If you could take your seats, we'll get started in just a moment.
There's a couple of people out there. You gotta see if there are people out there, but I don't know where. He or actually?
So there's more reading?
I don't really care, but
Oh, there you are.
I'm walking around.
Yeah, I know.
Ladies and gentlemen, County D Cathedral about to get ready for the second half of the show. The timing is important, so this is why I'm speaking in this different language. This is not a different language, this is my language that I made up as a kid. This is a true story. I didn't know this, but my sister's an actor, my younger sister, my older sister's an actress rather. And they can do these voices. They can do Russian, they can do English and French and Italian, all these voices, or accents rather. And where does this Jewish voice come from that I can do sometimes? I'm asking my sister, and she is telling me, this is coming from your dad. I'm like, my dad? He said, yes, he used to do this all the time, annoy my mother, and I guess I never remembered it, but I picked it up from him, and she picked it up from him, and now I'm distributing it to those individuals whose minds are already bent. So, now that I have your attention, first one up after the break, Mr. Philip Zimmerman, kindly come to the stage. Oh yeah, sorry. Those aren't my glasses, like I like to say, but they're my eyes. They're beautiful. Oh, you should probably do that. They're a little, yeah. That's because of the soup I had for dinner.
This is a poem I wrote about a man who lives somewhere along Bayshore. Kenny. Kenny? From a distance, the white nylon twine lacing your boots reads his Aryan signal. As I get closer, I see you have lost your First Nation baseball cap with embroidered eagle feather. What happened to your laces and hat? Your face is runny and ravaged today as I drive by and mentally note its remarkable erosion since the last time seen about 3 weeks ago. I think of your mother, maybe on light-strewn northern plains, a ghost bending down to kiss you, as a jerk cuts me off, swinging wild from Marin side of Bayshore to Cesar Chavez exit in a black BMW too new for plates, no blinker. I confess to giving you only smiles, secret tears and shame at my wealth, which is nothing, comparatively. Yet, comparatively, I am the 1% if we were weighed on that scale of truth. You can't drink my tears or eat my shame, nor I yours. This poem is the height of my vanity. I drive on to my next reality. Kenny, how will you die? Like sad-eyed Dave, found dead under a Portland overpass? Dave from high school, adopted by whites out of an honorable yet decidedly impoverished, deep and different world. A corpse unidentified for months in the city morgue. These shades of people with backpacks, shopping carts, skateboards, tents, have less value and no hue in this city than the drawings and photographs of them made by Academy of Art students, unwittingly complicit in the blatant, bald, and obscene San Francisco land grab, worthy of the most obese of robber barons. We're all gonna burn for this. Kenny, how dark are the nights on your bed of old cardboard in the dusty shrubs along Bayshore, with your friends the rats and fiends numbed and transmuted by soul-eating smoky substances, benign circumstance, the simple removal of luck from a life. Our sun slices the northern Cree cold The warm gray pages of Indian wars lay stone-word legends that ride your DNA across frozen expanses of grass and the garbage of history. This very language denies you agency in your depiction. How to unwind this? Kenny, tottering, bleeping cars and blurry rigs spin you in your invisible Sundance to the death there on the median. Your offering, epic. I look in your eyes, a visage of tortured Christ, double shifts, 2-second vibration of whining satori of degradation, and I see you, Kenny. I see you. I see you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Look, Zipman! You always bring such wonderful gifts, and I just want to remind you that if you come, when you come here, bring something to the barrel over there at times. I'm going to read the next series of readers so people know. We have Al, Nightingale, and then P.W. Covington. Looks like Stone, Allen, I'm not sure how that is, S-T-O-N-E, Allen, then Mac, then Mark, then Clara, Bill, like that. Say again?
It's Marco Harps, is that the Mark you mean?
No, there's a Mark Blanchard.
Okay.
So Al, why don't you come on up, and then we have the readers that I mentioned coming after you. Mr. Al Nightingale, please. Give me a first round.
Several meetings ago, I read a pretty big poem here, which I called Oriental Dialing Rhapsody in style of Persian. But today I will recite actually prelude to this poem. Prelude also. The designer of heaven is vigorous, but possesses a wonderful ignorance. How venomous all of his rebuses are to human mortality's essence. They arrive in ships, sails like a flare, jewels of its bright decks born there, as if dreamily translating motions of cow tongue into English, waves round our harbor traversing, dividing 100 couplets so thin. You saw how you studied this everything, dividing chocolate cake with champagne among the chocolates in thirst and pain. On the small table of Olga Forge, charmed by himself in the embrasure from Kremlin's wall, would only watch, like a virus's general measure. Thus his wood masters still were awesome and everything how it ought to be. Without diving it's impossible to learn the bottom of the sea. He bore on the tip of his nose, like a shining pince-nez, the beach, in reality which drove him in where he was. His epopee came to rest, but not wandering, he put the devils in Monterey on the dead man's chest. Among raccoon mask, palm trees, and eucalyptuses, what could he conceive? The grief, and this measure no. In the dead end, call it Cooper, our life is simply super. Night raccoons traversing it, rustle like a music sheet, but we trust in more and more, living with the open door. Once I found myself on Google in the kitchen quickly cooking. When next day I walked in here, in the room there was a deer.
I love reciters.
Great, right?
Mr. P.W. Covington.
Hey.
All right, come on up. Give him a nice round. He's been here before, but it's been rare, so we're pleased to see him again.
It's been a while. Read here about a
Probably
year
well
ago.
done tonight. I like. Cool.
And thanks very much for being here. It's awesome to see poetry packing rooms. It's amazing. I'll be reading at the Beat Museum Friday night. That's why I'm in town.
What time? About when
I
does
think
it
it
start?
starts at 7. I think the show starts at 7.
It's a great venue to go to.
Oh, it is. It's great there. I'm reading out my new book. It's my third poetry collection. It's called Sacred Wounds. It's published by Slough Press. Reading up on Ecuador. Pilgrims still seek these shores, but I'm reading up on Ecuador with a dog and a cat at my feet out on my Texas porch. It is a sunny winter day like the houseplants. I've pulled myself outside for sun, waiting for Kerouac to amble up my street. We'll swap stories about ships and disability benefits, VA hospitals and riding in stolen cars. We will not speak of poetry, and I will not share my wine. I'm reading up on Ecuador. They say that it's easy living in a land that isn't yours, freed from all responsibility to fix, to clean up, to plant, to teach. No need to sweat or serve or toil or bleed. The expatriate life. Behind doors, behind walls, behind gates, down streets with signs printed in English, antiseptic, isolation, a life of Yankee leisure. What would William Burroughs do?
No.
The Rio Grande Valley sure looks good this time of year. Palm trees, 10th Street and McAllen, it runs on and on and on. God bless them, with the beatest prayer I ever learned, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever will be. I am reading up on Ecuador. This is brand new, and it's been published twice in the UK, never here. It's time to write a poem. It is time to write a poem about riding a trailways bus through Alabama. A poem about Piggly Wiggly state policemen and flags and grits and backyard bread, attack dogs, gun shows, and Southern pride. It is time to write a poem because what we've been busy with isn't working. These guns and prisons, banks and borders, these laws and churches, these immigration mazes, religious hatreds must have all seemed like good ideas at some point. All these wars. When I see your face in the morning before the news of the day comes charging in, before the bodies roll in on the tide, before the pragmatism of decades takes hold, it is time to write a poem. It's time to write a poem, to mail away to foreign lands, to send off to the moon, to the planet Mars, to the core of the earth, to the cosmic Colorado rubbish man, because prayer doesn't seem to do the things that it used to. It is time to commit poetry. It's time to write a poem of witness, a transatlantic yelp, a howl, a yes, yes, y'all, and it don't stop. It is not time for ballads. I carry no corrido but my own. It is time to write a poem because it ain't coming on TV. It's time to write a poem today, on a Tuesday, on a Saturday night, drunk or sad or covered in sweat, shivering on a park bench, or watched in on the tide with tubes and machines hooked up to my heart on that last good day together, before opening the condom wrapper, before paying the toll, before making the reservations. It is time to write a poem. It is time to write a poem, because we won't last forever, and no one is writing about the smolder in your eyes, because all those millennial promises, they never came true, and 15 years is long enough to wait. It's time to write a poem. It's time to write a poem for Highlights magazine, for children in medical waiting rooms, a poem for Sky Mall magazines glanced at once at 30,000 feet, a poem folded into a box and sold from a cigarette vending machine. It is time to write a poem. Use only what's in your pocket. Use only what you know is yours. Poetry ain't shit most days, but it's time to write a poem while we still can. I'll only be a moment. It's time to write a poem. My name is P.W. Covington. Follow me on the Twitter at P.W. Thank
you. All right. See what happens when you get up there and you just let it all go. This looks like Stone Allen. I don't know.
Stone Allen did, what kind of sin did he commit?
I don't know. Well, that's what it says here. Otherwise, we go to Mark Blanchard. Mark is here?
He's in the bleachers.
All right. Give it up for Mark. Nice round of applause. This man knows his poetry. I will tell you that right now. He knows his poetry.
Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one that's going to be venting tonight, because I don't want to be the only pissed off guy in the place. This is about my least favourite part of San Francisco, which probably isn't really a part of San Francisco at all. It's called South Beach. Daily green seekers are admitted to the building site. They roll in to see greed and hubris smashed, joined, sparked and welded. They step lightly in confusion, avoiding the shut-off arteries and non-stop lorried tankers. Diversion and traffic confusions mark the new path of history plummeting into its own maw, absolutely and irrevocably. The best way to advertise your omnipotence is to block out God's old sky. Hoardings advertise a feathered dream of a city that no one but the very few really want. Billboards boast of views that only the precious few will ever see. Fortunes made in the ether now become manifest in glossy glass and polished steel, the tangible proof of a tangle of inflated nothingness. It's the future writ large enough for Earth-orbiting satellites, a modern-day crack at immortality, the architect's version of an equestrian statue or a commissioned oil painting. These buildings are meant to inspire in us a bold sense of someone else's destiny, a clammy future eagerly grasped and waved like a tattered victory flag. Direct your gaze upwards, these buildings implore us, up to a visionary future, up to a waiting horizon, up, till we're no longer witnesses to the murder of a beautiful city happening at our very feet.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is another angry one about something that happened to someone I love dearly recently. It's called This Hand. This hand that hit you was a lazy hand, fit for not much else than squeezing on socks, contour scenery trousers, or picking out nasal delicacies. Heavy, flush, blunt instrument lying dormant in an idle pocket, fueled by an overinflated sense of its own practical self-worth. This hand toiled and used sweat as an excuse. This hand worshipped and used service as a justification. This hand counted but couldn't weigh the cost of its own actions. This hand is relentless. What it can't control, it will hurt. What it can't possess, it will destroy. This hand is eloquent. It clearly conveys mute ignorance and bruised belligerence. I dream of this hand. I'd like to see it immortalized, separated from its limb, encased in glass, beautifully lit, so I can contemplate it, honing my disgust with a jeweler's precision. Thank you.
I tell you, it's one of those kick nights, as they say. And now, as if you were not ready, If you are ready, you'll be even more ready in a few moments. Clara Sue is coming up here to entertain you. Clara Sue. This is a stellar color. I met her outside of Vermont.
Okay, I'm just going to read two poems. The first one is very short. It's called Achillic. It's playing with the word like, L-I-K-E. Achillic. E-kill is like ely. Ack, ely, cack, cack. Ye eats like egrets. 1 foot ely, the water flows. Ack, it calls. Ack, ack. No ill, like all is perfect. The sky, the cloud, the water, the air, as if all ills are killed. Ely, as if. It's like ikill. Kille is tickle in Norwegian. A figure being tickled. Ely, the egret waits. Ely, as if ikill is like.
See, double shot.
Okay, next one.
Oh, is this one of your books?
This is my latest book called The First to Escape. I wanted to read a Halloween poem, and I thought it was in my book. It shows you how much I know my book. It's not in there.
So next time.
So maybe next year.
Okay, maybe next year.
Okay, this is titled Wandering Night. Begin with sadness that permeates since the feverish hands cooled. Looking beyond, it must have been the wind. First it fanned the flames, then it sucked away the heat, leaving chalky remnants of rectangles, squares, circles of certainty. A phallic stone, a quest a polka dot feather. A blossom wakes, cicadas chant a mantra. Pale filigrees uncoil under the mingled stars, its 7 white veils stirring in the thick of night. Are you mad? Are you mad, you babbling brook, coming down with a case of lunar spasm, frothing at the brink of your lips, the white of your eyes? Grandma, mother loves you, dear, dear mother loves you. Azure is the color, deep in an inkwell. Sudden breeze, she prefers to call it noir. Peeling the corner, his fingers fumble, a touch of slick, a tuck in the groin. Turning, the owl's eyes widen from his own musing. What of the scurrying mice and beating wings in a nearby bush? Pity the prey, ecstasy on borrowed time, one lifting talon away. Coming into, the dreamer doesn't know it is she who commands the dream to appear. It is she who has been wishing. It is she whose wish takes form, tapping a code into the great unknown. It is her words, I want. It is her pining that draws the creature forward, draws it into her vicinity, but she is puzzled by its incongruous appearance. Not knowing what to make of the dream, she lets it nibble first her ears, then her eyes and nose and mouth. She lets it kiss her mouth, she lets it touch her face and arms, she lets it consume her. When she wakes, she'll know it is she who has
has asked for salvation, and each time it is given to her like a ripened fruit ready to be plucked. It is she whose magnetic eyes reel in a new reality, and she must endure the newness and the strangeness of it. It is in dream that she finds. It is in dream that they come. It is in dream that she finds them all. Darkness disperses like crushed little bones.
See what happens, I tell you. So the next, okay, let me just read the next 5 so that they know what order they're in and they don't get confused and come up here all at once trying to bum rush me. Bill, Christine, Jackie, Hal coming back on the open, he was the keynote, and then Mark, and then Bill. That way you know. Now if I have missed somebody.
Mark who?
Oh, Mark O'Hart's, my dear.
Is he here? I'm leaving.
I don't know. Can I buy my back? Can I buy my back? Can I back?
You couldn't
Can I
afford
buy my
buying back
introduction
your own
back from you? All right, so Bill, come on up here, and don't be kindly with us. Roused us from our common, ordinary things. Took me literally.
A little too literal, huh?
Figuratively speaking, he took me literally.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm not going to read a poem. I'm going
Aren't
to
you
read
gonna tell them about your venue every first Saturday?
Got a venue every first Saturday.
Yeah. La Promenade Cafe out on Balboa, and 22nd or 24th? 32nd, 36th, 35th, something like that.
732nd.
There you go.
38th and Balboa.
That's this Saturday, if I'm not mistaken.
That's this
But you're not
Saturday,
mistaken.
and we have
You're Mr. Harps.
Thank you.
somebody I forgot her name from the East Bay, and we have Owen Duckle's also going to feature.
Oh, Owen Duckle.
Yeah.
All right. Just want to make sure everybody gets their props, even when I forget. So when I'm old and gray.
And full of sleep and hiding by the fire. So this is not a poem. This is a cautionary tale. I was having a conversation today with someone about the forthcoming crash. And so this is kind of a cautionary tale in that vein. It's called The Cat's Prophecy. It is summertime and Spodioti is eating again. He's a semi-feral tomcat who lives up on the hillside. Starting in late winter, he becomes a very picky eater. He would sidle down the hill when I called for dinner. He would check it out, very nonchalant, take a few bites, then leave abruptly. Slowly, his thick winter body shrank as he was into a long, lean, quick cat ready for summer. Now it is summer, and he is gobbling up everything in sight. His long, lean body is building up, preparing for winter. Nature has given us that we prepare ourselves for what lies ahead. This wisdom is located in the body, not in the mind. The body acts as a foreknowledge not available to the mind. In late winter, Spodioti's mind was saying that the world is cold and wet and bleak and he should be eating everything he can get. But his body is saying, no, it's time to prepare for summer. Now in late summer, its mind is saying that it's warm and abundant, he should just relax. No, he pigs out, but because his body is saying to the winter is coming, prepare. I see my belly hanging down, still hungry after an ample meal. My mind asks, where did this hunger come from? I watch the people waddling down the streets of America, still hungry after eating well in an abundant, easy world. I ask, where did all this hunger come from? then I think that the wisdom of the body is speaking. The wisdom of the body is saying, this abundant world is a mirage. Prepare. There's a long, hard winter coming.
All right. Christine E. All right. Give her a nice round of applause. This is your first time here. It's your first time here. Do you need help with anything? Are you okay?
I think I'm okay.
All right.
I feel so popular, thank you.
Well, we're happy you're here.
Thank you, thank you. Well, it's out of order. Oh, gosh. This happens the first time reading somewhere. Mess things up a little bit. Okay.
That poem.
Can you raise it a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks. So, perfect. That's good.
You gotta get
Good.
close. That's
Good.
good.
Good? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So, you guys remember when you used to type things on your old computers and it would pop up and say, do you want to save that thing?
Oh, yes, the
Yeah.
first new machines like
wave.
that.
So this one's called That Poem, and when I first typed it, the computer popped up and said, do you want to save that poem? And I was like, how did it know it was a poem? That poem. Someone at the center of the universe, cafe, read a poem. It's the best poem I've ever heard there. It's about a man, a friend of the poet's, I think. It begins post-retirement and crawls back into his mother's womb, I think. I don't remember exactly, but it says it all about a life, all that need be said. The hopes, the disappointments, the good, the bad, the wonder of it all, over far too soon, the miracle of an ordinary life. I want that poem, and I want to live my life before all that's left is a poem that someone vaguely remembers.
I'll say amen.
Misfit. Have you ever been in a group of people? They're perfectly nice, but you don't fit in and you feel uncomfortable?
No, never.
No one else has ever felt that. Okay, I'm the only one.
Well, you're in a room of poets, I'm thinking.
I have to say, I do feel very comfortable here. So,
good.
Thank you. Misfit. That writing group makes me feel like a freak in a cage. I fluctuate between stereotype and enigma in their minds. I can't swear, gotta be polite, restrain and subdue all of my passion into carefully phrased feedback. Mostly I listen. I tell myself over and over, listen, just listen, be present. Sooner or later there will be an opening to speak. Once in a while there's something worth hearing. Mostly I've got to rein in my wild, wonderful mind and squeeze into that tight torso on that kitchen chair, nibbling, sipping tea. They are truly kind people and give very good editing suggestions, but I leave ready to burn all my poetry and slit my throat.
That's a harsh group.
It wasn't them, it was me. I'm
all right.
harsh inner world.
Okay.
Gold. So, have you ever written a poem that the entire poem is just something you heard someone else say? And it was so great, you know they're never going to write it down. And you got it? Okay, this is that poem, or one of those kind. Gold. You don't know what it's like for a man, he told me. As a teenager, you can't imagine anyone will ever want to have sex with you. And it's so painful. But later in life, at times, how to say it? It's like your dick is worth its weight in gold.
All right. I mean, I'm so happy. Anyway, I think we have the next person who's also new. So, wait, I guess you'll have to take it like everybody else has. Jackie, why don't you come on out? This is a new person, ladies.
I wrote this during a stage I was going through college, so mind you. A knock, a boom, a break. The sounds of these whispers carry behind secret gates. An unknown passage of foreign language. It's unidentifiable to the masses. A knock, a boom, a break. Can you hear the sounds? They echo through the crowds, create unspoken waves. Slithering silence is what is heard, no voice to what it makes. There is no cups to fill with words, no soapbox to speak and be heard, no weeds to grass the grass's kin. There is only but a sound with no volume that can crack the pitch to decipher what it is. I have another one. It's called Weep. Memories fallen from her eyes, grasping to let go and not die. Circumstances cried, her eyes pouring out weeping willow leaves. Kneeling to kiss the floor's cheeks, weep, weep. Weeping willow from her eyes does she speak, casting down those ties, denying every drop of time, every drop denoting what was taken, begotten, or lost. Weep, weep, drops digging deep, deep waters from will's hidden springs, only to drown in what's become a mystic's misconception of a tainted reality. Weep.
Jackie! All right. So the final three readers, we have Hal Robbins coming back. He was the keynote, but the keynote always gets to read during the open. So we have Hal, then Mark Arps, then Bill. Then I can say these fine prizes, which will be distributed and designed, as I like to say, with your mind in mind. Hal, give him an A.
Hal
Robbins Show. Sorry.
Buick by Carl Shapiro. As a sloop with a sweep of immaculate wing on her delicate spine, and a keel as steel as a root that holds in the sea as she leans. Leaning and laughing, my warm-hearted beauty, you ride, you tack on the curves with parabola speed and a kiss of goodbye. Like a thoroughbred sloop, my new high-spirited spirit, my kiss. As my foot suggests that you leap in the air with your hips of a girl, my finger that praises your wheel and announces your voices of song. Flouncing your skirts, you bloom of excitement, you flirt of desire. You leap, you intelligence, with silvery nose, and your clocks of excitement stir like the hairs of a fern. But how alien you are from the booming belts of your birth and the smoke where you turned on the stinging lathes of Detroit and Lansing at night, and shrieked at the torch in your secret parts and the amorous tests. But now, with your eyes that enter the future of roads you forget, you are all instinct, with your streaking hair. And now we are stopped. It is not as the bird from the shell that I leave, or the leathery pilot who steps from his bird with a sneer of delight. And not as the ignorant beast do you squat and watch me depart, but with exquisite breathing you smile, with satisfaction of love, and I touch you again as you tick in the silence and settle in sleep. Well, I tend to make mistakes, and that one had a bunch. But for extra credit, if you remember the little holes in the side of the old Buick, does everyone remember how the Buick had those holes? I will tell you now what they were called, which is something few people know. Cruiser line venti ports.
Cruiser line venti ports. Beats the heck out of what I was going to say. All right, Marco Harbs, then
Oh,
Bill
God, he's
Martin,
here.
then we
Get the
take
hell
care
out.
of everything.
I can't handle that guy, never shuts the fuck up. Typical white boy, what the fuck's the matter with this boy? Still trying to figure it out. From a Buick 6, a good old Dylan album and song. Where's that guy that's talking about the Buick? From a Buick 6. I'm not gonna do that, but I'm just gonna throw that out, take a kiss. Yeah, okay, it was nice. You know, somebody told me to shut the fuck up and play my harmonica, but I ain't gonna listen to it. Maybe later. I said shut the fuck up and play my harmonica.
Oh.
I have to tone it down for these West Coast people because I'm from the Beast Coast and that's how we talk normally. Normal? At least that's my excuse tonight. I'll give you another one next time. This one is My Birth Wrong song. Columbus was not Jesus, neither was the faker of feathered folks, foolish fiend, failure as a father, Junipero Serra, adjudicator of sorrow, as I'll call him, because he deserves a much worse memorial than that so-called sainthood recently written in some sick story. So please, don't say fare thee well. Please say don't fare thee well to the rank stank of yet another white lie, see? I'm working on that one. I hope it works on you. Take you blindly, as I like to say. And so, an SOW, HEAR, a bravely brief little story inspired by Professor Irwin Corey, the world's foremost authority. And also inspired by the beyond beatifically beautiful poet, singer, teacher of children of all ages, who's residing right above Claire Sue's head in
Carlos?
Photo Reality. That's correct, Dan the man. Poet, singer, teacher of children of all ages, one of this wild world's most missed sages. Carlos. A seed is a baby plant in a box with its lunch, said a professor of botany at a major university to her tiny terrarium taught toddlers. Just think on this, you politician. What is more porous, concrete or clay? Just think on that, you diplomat. And finally, thankfully, I shall not do that one. I shall play this tiny little instrument of first I will,
instrument of math instruction.
Go out as I came in, whether you saw it or not. That's right.
I knows him.
Laugh while you may, because tomorrow will be sorrow. Hopefully, the tears of heaven will come gone. Since you're around, I think they will. This is a 10-hole. See, Wavy Gravy told me to do that, even though he stole something from me. But if you're gonna have something stolen, might as well have Wavy Gravy. I sign everything I say. Let us, like the stuff that grows in the ground, grow peace, like the stuff that grows in the ground, and carrots. And he changed it a little, and then he wrote it, signed his book to me, and claimed it for his own. But that's okay. Because he let me play at the Davis, California, open mic about 2 decades ago, and 20,000 people cheered for my song Uncle Scam, and I think I can get used to that kind of stuff. I don't want to make a spectacle out of myself Thank you, Blind.
Thank you. Bill Martinos, our clincher, closer, super duper bulldozer.
And guess what? If you're trying to copy it, you'd have to say it's yours. I sent it to myself. This has been a public service announcement, and I haven't opened it yet, and I won't until we go to court.
I appreciate this opportunity to swerve.
Thank you, Blank.
And now I will stop talking, so you may.
Sorry.
I'm going to start with a poem, since we're on the edge of El Dia de los Muertos. I'm going to do a poem by Carolee Sanchez, who, while walking in Munich at the Ludwig's Castle, all of a sudden realized she'd been there before, but not in this life. So this is a poem about that. In München, I walked warmly dressed against strong, cold winds through gardens once known to me. I soaked up sunlit snow and people playing ice games on frozen canals, now a city park. I remember when this broad avenue heard Müncheners, nobles laugh and shout, preparing for afternoons of indoor swimming, hunting parties, or picnics among these dense groves. Today, the castle and its small lodges are grand museums that still hold untold stories from other days. Maybe the groundskeepers and curious tourists imagine what royal life was like when kings and queens lived here. I stare through windows and wonder if the songs, sighs, laughter, and tears of my other self are still caught in the thick silence that clings to the sculptured ceilings and high walls of Schloss Nymphenburg. This familiar place, this castle, these grounds, my castle town.
Right on.
And this is fairly forward, it's still working. It's called Apricot Moon. Mass media called you Blood Moon, and I cringed. We have too many refugees, too many people fleeing violence. I'm thankful you were an apricot moon. Bridget and I walked up the hill to where the quarry blast of First Consciousness became a bedroom community. And there we were, overlooking the boulevard and the river winding under the freeway, under construction, under the apricot sphere that just hung there looking eerie above the clouds in the open night sky? Where were the fireworks, the celebration? There have not been many total lunar eclipses in my 60-something years. Usually there's fog or cloudy sky, or another continent receives your fullness. And it happens so late at night. I may wake up, take note, but go back to bed and to work the next day. They were working on the freeway on Sunday, overtime and big machinery, lowering the lanes on pylons to cross the river, where the apricot moon must have reflected, but not to my senses. I didn't have the angle. Like those young women, full of carbonated giggles, who rolled down the park knoll and proclaimed, "I'm dizzy." The supermoon blushed at the lunacy. This was my celebration, and the parked cars of potheads that dotted the streets on our way home. The moon lost its color, and the muted sphere turned back into a bright circle above our backyard oaks as the bite of Earth's shadow disappeared into white. This is one place where time began, as this rare fruit ripened and was gone once again. You were an apricot moon, not a blood moon. I'm thankful.
Beautiful.
All right, now this is the final closing thing. These fabulous prizes up here, designed with your mind in mind, are about to be distributed amongst you.
When you signed in, you put your name next to your number, and notice how I have these cards with numbers, which I am shuffling now to randomize them in such a fashion that you will think, if I won a prize, it was completely random choice. Is that another prize? Oh. Would you just cut those once, please? So let me go over the prizes while she's doing that. National Geographic's Lightning. A book by Kim Shuck, the feature this evening. Who's here? She will sign. Writing detective and mystery fiction as of 1945. These two books are my models or mock-ups. This one, will you stop that? Has lots of mistakes, but all the poems are good, mostly. This one has far fewer, but it still has some. And then these are the poems that are in the book that were the copies from various places, and I figured I don't want to keep all these things. Last thing is a poem by Gary Snyder, donated by this young gentleman back here. He always makes these fantastic things, so this is really great. It's protected and everything. And then this is the email list there in case you wanted to sign it. So she is. Thank you. The only tradition we have for this is like a drum roll. Oh, Bill, I wanted to give you this at some point.
Drum roll.
Drum roll, please. Thank you. Hey-ah!
Number 9.
Clara Sue. It is you.
Now, she showed me the cards. I can smell the paint.
The cold. There we go. Well done. Drum roll. Writing detective fiction as of 1940. It should be just fun to read by itself.
A lot of things.
Drum roll. Tom Holmberg.
Tom, on a hamburger.
What might you like?
Tom's gonna buy us all hamburgers.
Oh, he goes for it. I knew someone would. Yeah, Eric Schneider, a nice broadside. And Mark. Is Mark still here? Mark Blanchard?
No, I'm not.
Oh, there he is. Come around as he comes up here and takes any one of these guys designed with his mind on it. Ah, Kim, you have a signature to do. And Owen Dunkel.
Dunkel.
Any of these are yours, as they say.
How come the guitar, drum, and the harmonica home? How come? I wanna know.
Whichever you like.
Can't go till I know.
Make sure that's the one with the less. That's better. That's the better version. Oh, and then in the back, let me just show you really quickly. When you give it away, you fill that out. When you give it, if you do. All right, here we go. Drum roll, please. Christine.
Did you get it for me?
What would you like?
He's gonna pick for me.
Oh, he's going.
Oh, that's
Oh, good. It's a
very
nice
sweet.
surprise. So any of these may be still
He's
yours.
getting the sweater.
Or hers. Okay, that's all good. Thank you. Let me know what you think of it. There's the poems are mostly there's like commas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Except for this one poem that's all just like.
Is it instant comma or is it the?
No, there's all commas. That'd be a great poem. A comma poem. The
I'm
pause
full of
that
it tonight,
refreshes.
folks. Give me a laxative, quick.
Okay, Jackie.
Yeah.
Yes, you may come and take one of these fine prizes which already are designed with your mind in mind. And as
Well,
I
maybe not.
put
See,
right wit, just because it might be. All right, and then we have, last three. Boy, Bill.
Which one?
Bill Wartnoff. Bill. Thank you, Bubbles.
That's
So you have
because,
this, but if you're gonna come back.
Julius Vinograd's not here, so I've taken her.
All right, so he goes for lightning.
Get him before Rupert Murdoch.
Yeah.
Philip?
Philip? Did he go? Philip's
Yeah, he's in the bathroom going right now. What? Throw that man out, he never shuts up.
Okay, thank you. Morgan.
This isn't comedy
Still
night.
here?
Marco Harps, the fuck's wrong with you?
It is now.
Mark O'Harps?
No, he's left. He got thrown in the
These are the only two prizes that are left.
Jow.
Which would you like?
Oh, yes, I would.
Well,
I'll mini feature your,
okay, you're gonna be the
features.
mini. Okay, thank you. And then,
Next week, that's right.
yes, you have to be here next week.
And the Current Strong and.
Current Strong. And.
We're swimming over it. Uh-oh, here comes the big.
Oh, it's Clyde. Is Clyde here?
Yeah. Mr. National.
Clyde, you have,
is
the
in the
thing
house.
that's left is the keynote. You want to do the keynote
Yes,
next week?
what Canadian flight?
Okay, sorry, we got you as a keynote. All right.
Thank you, ladies.
Next week at Ham.
If you have never heard Jean Marie Spicuzza read poetry, you'll have a chance next week. She's coming out with a feature film. She's going to be here, and then the feature film is premiering either on the Thursday next week or Friday. And one of the door prizes, or two of them, will be tickets to that show, so it should be very interesting. A wild and crazy person you have never seen live, but good poetry.